You are told to model success. You read the biographies. You study the habits. You consume the endless, saccharine advice on productivity, on morning routines, on investment hacks. And you remain stuck. You remain precisely where you are, perhaps with a new set of buzzwords, but in the same financial and mental prison. You are stuck because you are modeling the performance, but you refuse to see the mechanism. You are copying the symptoms of wealth, but you do not understand the operating system that produces it. The truth, the one that is tea sold in seminars, is that the game is tea about what you do. It is about what you don't do. It is about the fears you fail to control. There is an architecture to this. The billionaire mind, and I use that term as a mindset, not a number, operates on a system designed to insulate it from human stupidity. It's a firewall built to control 5 fundamental, paralyzing anxieties. These are the fears they have mastered, the ones they have inverted. And critically, these are the fears they never discuss publicly. They don't discuss them because, first, they have no incentive to give you the map. And second, because for them, it is not even a fear. It is just a variable. It is a piece of human stupidity they have insulated themselves against, while the masses are drowning in it. The difference between the permanently wealthy and the permanently struggling is not information. It is emotional discipline. It is the construction of a mental firewall against the very anxieties that dictate your every decision. You are programmed to be a signal receiver, you react. They are signal generators, they act. And the foundation of that action is the mastery of these 5 fundamental paralyzing human fears. You must understand, this isn't tea about not feeling fear. It is about controlling the response. It is about building a system, a set of rules, so that when the panic hits, and it always hits, the system takes over and the stupidity of the human animal is benched. The first and most potent of these fears is the one that governs your entire relationship with money. It is the fear of scarcity, the fear of zero. You are terrified of losing what little you have. This terror, this primal gripping onto the present, is the single greatest guarantee that you will never have more. You think in terms of safety. You want the guaranteed return. You want the secure job. You want the stable paycheck. And in exchange for this illusion of security, you trade 100% of your upside. You have accepted a cap on your life. This fear of scarcity is the engine of the rat race itself at the bottom. When the market crashes, when the headlines are screaming apocalypse, your biology takes over, the fear of zero kicks in. The fear of seeing your account balance hit the floor, and so you sell, you crystallize your loss. You make the temporary, unrealized loss a permanent, realized one. And who do you sell to? You sell to the person who has mastered this fear. You sell to the person who sees a crash not as a disaster, but as a sale. They are buying your assets at a 50% discount. They are buying your panic. They are trading their cash for your fear. The billionaire mind. And I use billionaire not as a number, but as a mindset does not fear volatility. It welcomes it. It thrives in it. Why? Because volatility is the only source of outsized returns. You want a safe path. The safe path is a guarantee of mediocrity. The safe path is the one that is guaranteed to be eroded by inflation, by taxes, by the simple atrophy of time. The safe path is the riskiest path of all. The billionaire mind fears something different. They don't fear losing. They fear stagnation. They fear atrophy. They fear the 100% guaranteed loss of not being in the game. You are playing not to lose. They are playing to win. These are not just different strategies. They are different universes. This is not just an investment concept. This is why you are a poor negotiator. This is why you cling to the safe job. You are terrified to ask for equity. You are terrified to ask for ownership because ownership carries the risk of zero. You would rather accept the guaranteed mediocrity of a salary, a wage, than the volatile potential of ownership. The salary is the safe path. It is also the slavery path. It is the path where your time is rented and your upside is capped. The person who has mastered the fear of zero is willing to walk away from the table. They are willing to risk the safe deal in pursuit of the right deal. You are so afraid of not getting the paycheck that you accept any paycheck. They are so focused on the upside that they are willing to wait. They are willing to go to zero in the short term to win in the long term. You are negotiating for survival. They are negotiating for dominion. You are, again, playing not to lose. And you will succeed. You will not lose. And you will never win when you play not to lose. Every decision is filtered through defense. You prioritize the tiny, immediate, and visible risk over the enormous long-term and invisible opportunity. You want to invest $10,000 in a new business venture because you can't afford to lose it. You are correct, but you can afford to lose 3% of its value every single year to inflation. Sitting in a high-interest savings account, you can afford to lose the opportunity cost of what that $10,000 could have become in 10, 20, or 30 years. You are, in effect, so afraid of the jungle that you have locked yourself in a cage, and you have convinced yourself the cage is safety. The person who masters this fear owns the jungle. They understand that risk is not a thing to be avoided, but a thing to be managed. They control this fear by depersonalizing it. They don't risk money. They allocate capital. They size their positions. They diversify. They use the cold, hard logic of mathematics to override the hot, stupid panic of the reptilian brain. You think $100, they think 1% of their portfolio. You see a 30% drop and feel failure. They see a 30% drop and see rebalancing. It is a system. It is a firewall. The fear of scarcity is what keeps you poor. It makes you a short-term thinker. In a long-term game, the wealthy are wealthy because they have simply inverted the problem. They are not afraid of losing. They are afraid of not winning. They are not afraid of the crash. They are afraid of missing the fire sale that the crash provides until you build your own system, your own rules, written in your own blood during times of calm, to be executed mercilessly in times of panic. You will always be the one selling your assets to them at the bottom. You will be the liquidity, and that is a brutal but true reality. You cannot escape the fear of scarcity by hoping. You escape it by building a logic-based system that makes that fear irrelevant. This brings us to the second firewall, the one that protects them not from market forces, but from social forces. This is the fear of the crowd, the fear of looking stupid. Your need for social validation is the single greatest barrier to your wealth. You are terrified of being weird. You are terrified of being the one person at the dinner party who is doing something different. You would rather be conventionally wrong than unconventionally right. Think about that. You would rather fail with the crowd than succeed alone. If you buy the hot stock that everyone is talking about and it collapses, who is to blame, not you? It was the market. It was the economy. Everyone lost. There is a strange, perverse comfort in collective failure. But if you buy the boring stock that no one has heard of, the one that meets your own independent analysis, and it fails, that is your fault. You are the fool. You are the idiot. You have to face the social rejection. This fear, this deep biological need to belong, is what keeps you buying high and selling low. You buy after the headlines have confirmed the asset is safe. You buy after your neighbor has told you he made money on it. You are buying at the top precisely because the crowd has given you permission. The social validation has arrived, and you are, as always, late. The billionaire mindset is, almost by definition, contrarian. It has to be, you cannot achieve an outlier result by following the consensus. The consensus, by definition, is the average. The person who controls this fear has built an immunity to public opinion. They are not paid to be popular. They are paid to be right in the long run. And being right in the long run requires being willing to look wrong, or more accurately, stupid, in the short run. This is the pain of being a true investor. It is not the financial loss. It is the social loss. It is the multi-year periods of underperformance. It is watching your neighbor get rich on a meme stock while your value portfolio sits flat. It is the internal gut-wrenching pain of, am I a genius or am I a complete idiot? The crowd offers you an escape from that question. The crowd says, don't worry, we all in this together. The independent thinker must sit with that question alone. For years, the wealthy done to ignore the crowd. They use the crowd, they use it as a contrary indicator. When the crowd is euphoric, they know it is time to be fearful. When the crowd is panicked, they know it is time to be greedy. This is the oldest cliche in investing, and 99% of people do the exact mathematical opposite. Why? Because the feeling of social rejection is more painful to you than the reality of financial loss. They control this by building a different feedback loop. Your feedback loop is social. What do people think? Their feedback loop is internal. Does this align with my thesis? Do the numbers still work? They are operating on a completely different set of inputs. They have done the work, they have read the 10K, they have built the model, they have a reason for their position. Your reason is that you saw it on a social media feed. This is why they don't talk about it. How do you explain to someone that their entire social reality is a trap? How do you tell someone that their friends, their family, and their news feed are the primary obstacles to their financial freedom? You don't you just stay quiet, and you keep allocating capital based on your reality, not theirs. The fear of the crowd is an ego-driven fear. You are afraid of what they will think of you. The billionaire mind has moved past this. They are not concerned with what you think. They are concerned with what is, and what is that the crowd is almost always wrong at the extremes, and the extremes are where all the money is made. To access those extremes, you must be willing to stand completely, utterly, and often painfully alone. You must build a firewall against the validation of other people. Your validation must come from your process, not from the applause. This, of course, is a close cousin to the third fear, the one that defines the modern age, the fear of missing out, FOMO. You mistake this for a social media phenomenon. It is not. It is a fundamental flaw in human psychology, and it is the single greatest destroyer of long-term returns. Your frantic activity is just a symptom of your lack of a plan. You confuse motion with progress. You are a signal taker. You are addicted to the new, the next big thing. One day, it is crypto. The next, it is an AI stock. The next, it is a real estate hack. You jump from trend to trend, from guru to guru, from opportunity to opportunity. And what is the result? You have a portfolio that looks like a closet index of hype. You have a garage full of half-started projects. You have a brain full of contradictory advice. You are diversified in your stupidity. You are the dog chasing cars. You are spending all of your energy reacting to the noise, and you have no energy left to build. The billionaire mind, the true Munger style oracle, operates on the principle of inactivity. Their greatest superpower is not what they do, it is what they don't. Do they have a too hard pile, and almost everything goes into the too hard pile. They are not looking for 1,000 good ideas. They are looking for one or two great ideas in their lifetime. While you are terrified of missing the next big thing, they are terrified of being distracted from the current big thing that actually works. They have a narrow, deep circle of competence. They know what they know, and more importantly, they know what they don't know. You, on the other hand, have a millimeter, deep circle of confidence that is a mile wide. You have an opinion on everything and an expertise in nothing. The billionaire mind fears impulsivity. You fear boredom. This is the disconnect. Real wealth creation is, by and large, boring. It is the antithesis of the thrill you seek. It is finding a good business and sitting on it for 40 years. It is compound interest. It is the slow, implacable, non-negotiable march of time and value. You can stand this. The boredom is a physical pain for you. Your brain, marinated in the dopamine of the feed, demands a hit. It demands action. Don't just sit there, do something. The billionaire mind has inverted this. Their mantra is, don't just do something, sit there. They know that every action has a cost, a transaction fee, a tax implication, but most importantly, an opportunity cost and a cognitive cost. Every time you check your portfolio, every time you tinker with your strategy, you are introducing error. You are introducing emotion. You are interrupting the one force that actually builds wealth, compounding. They control the fear of missing out by having an unshakable plan, a philosophy, an investment thesis. Call it what you will. It is a filter when the new thing comes along, and it always comes along. They don't ask, could I make money on this? They ask, does this fit my filter? And 99.9% of the time, the answer is number, and they say no, and they go back to reading or sleeping or whatever they were doing. They feel no anxiety. They feel no FOMO. They feel relief. They have successfully defended their time and capital from a new distraction. You, on the other -20 other hand, you have no filter, so everything looks like an opportunity. And because everything is an opportunity, you are paralyzed. You are a ship without a rudder, tossed around by the winds of hype. They are an aircraft carrier. They have a destination plotted 30 years in advance. The waves of hype are irrelevant. To control this fear, you must do the hardest thing possible. You must decide. You must decide what your game is. Are you a value investor, a growth investor, a real estate operator, an entrepreneur building one business? Pick one and then ignore everything else. The pain of ignoring will be intense at first, but the power that comes from it is what separates the signal from the noise. The wealthy find the signal. They become the signal by aggressively filtering out 100% of the noise. And FOMO is the loudest noise of all. Now we arrive at the fourth fear. This one is subtle, and it is the one that destroys the newly successful. It is the fear of irrelevance. The ego trap. You are focused on status. They are focused on equity. Let me be blunt. You buy things you don't need with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. This is the middle class trap, and it is driven by the fear that you are a nobody, the fear that if you don't display your success, it is real, the $8 coffee, the $80,000 financed SUV, the logo on your shirt, the vacation photos for the gram. These are not rewards. These are handicaps. They are liabilities masquerading as assets. You are a peacock. You are carrying a massive, beautiful, heavy tail, and that tail is a neon sign for predators, and it prevents you from ever taking flight. The billionaire mind fears the ego. They fear the drag on performance that ego creates. They fear the liability of status. Wealth, as the saying goes, is what you don't, TC. It is the money not spent. It is the stock not sold. It is the business reinvested in. Wealth is the asset, not the trinket. You are desperate to look rich. They are desperate to be wealthy. And these are opposing goals. Every dollar you spend on a status symbol is a dollar that is not compounding. It is a soldier that you have taken out of your army and shot in exchange for a moment of social validation. The truly wealthy, the old money, the Munger mindset, often operate in stealth mode. The uniform is not the $5,000 suit. It is the Costco slacks and the generic polo shirt. Why? Because they are not in the business of impressing you. They have nothing to prove to you. Their status comes from their equity, from their ownership, from their intellectual sovereignty, not from the brand of car they drive. In fact, they fear the symbols of wealth. Why? Because those symbols attract the wrong kind of attention. They attract lawsuits. They attract gold diggers. They attract bad deals. They attract the ego. Once you start to believe your own hype, you are finished. Once you believe you deserve the private jet, you have just introduced a multi-million-dollar liability into your life. You have increased your nut. You have decreased your freedom. The person who controls this fear of irrelevance has done one simple thing. They have separated their identity from their money. You think your net worth is your self-worth. They know self-worth is the engine that builds the net worth. They are not afraid of being unknown. They are afraid of being known for the wrong reasons. They are not afraid of irrelevance. They are afraid of distraction. And ego is the ultimate and most expensive distraction. You need the world to see you as successful. They need their assets to be successful. This is the disconnect. You are feeding your ego, they are feeding their balance sheet. But the peacock tail is just the most visible symptom. The true cancerous disease of the ego is intellectual. The fear of irrelevance makes you fall in love with your own ideas. You stop being an investor and you become a zealot. You are no longer testing your thesis, you are defending it. Your ego hates disconfirming evidence. It hates to be wrong. So it filters reality. It only seeks out the news that agrees with you. It surrounds you with yes, men. It convinces you that your luck was skill. This is the intellectual rot that ego produces. You call it conviction. It is dogma, the true Munger. Mind is terrified of this. They are not hunting for validation. They are actively hunting for dissent. They are trying to find the person who can destroy their best idea. They are paying people to tell them why they are wrong. They are constantly inverting the problem. They are asking, how could this fail? You are asking, how can I prove I am a genius? The ego is the single greatest corrupter of data. The person who controls this fear has accepted a brutal truth. They are not a genius. They are a survivor. And survival depends on seeing the truth, not the story your ego wants to tell. When you look at a billionaire, you are seeing the result. You are not seeing the process. You are not seeing the decades of saying no to the new car. You are not seeing the decades of reinvesting 100% of the profits. You are not seeing the decades of looking boring or cheap to a world that is obsessed with flash. They don't discuss this because it is boring. It is not sexy. The advice is not buy this watch. The advice is don't buy any watch. Buy the company that makes the watch. And that advice doesn't sell. It is too hard. It is too slow. It requires a complete suppression of the ego and the fear that you are a nobody. The ultimate flex is not the Lamborghini in the driveway. It is the freedom to not need the Lamborghini in the driveway. It is the power of an asset base so large that it requires none of your time and none of your social validation. They fear the peacock's tail. You crave it, and that is the gap. This leads to the final and most philosophical fear. This is the one that separates the players from the masters. It is the fear of enough. This fear has two forms. For 99% of people, it is the fear of never having enough. It is the fear that the goal is impossible. It is a scarcity mindset so profound that it leads to paralysis. Why start? I'll never get there. For the 1% who do get there, it is the fear of what now? It is the existential dread of the finish line. It is the fear of stagnation. The masses are paralyzed by the start. The newly rich are paralyzed by the end. Both are victims of the same illusion. They believe the goal is a number. When I have $10 million, I'll be happy. When I have $10 million, I'll be happy. When I retire, I'll be free. This is a mirage. This is the finish line illusion. The billionaire mind, the Munger mind, does not fear the game. They fear the end of the game. They are not driven by the number. They are driven by the process. The game itself is the reward. The money is not the goal. The money is just the scoreboard. It is the byproduct of a game well played. What is the game? The game is mastery. The game is building. The game is solving complex problems. The game is allocating capital. The game is out. Thinking the competition. This is what they love. They are not addicted to money. They are addicted to the game. You are terrified of the work. You see the work as the price you pay to get to the finish line, retirement, the beach, enough. They are terrified of not working. They are terrified of not playing. They are terrified of atrophy. They have controlled the fear of enough by redefining enough. Enough is not a number in the bank. Enough is today. Enough is the engagement in the process. They fear intellectual stagnation. They fear becoming dull. They fear losing their edge. They fear a solved problem. This is why they never retire. They may retire from the company they founded, but they do not retire from the game. They become investors. They run a foundation. They manage their family office. They are not playing for more money. They are playing to keep playing. You are paralyzed because you think the goal is a destination. They are liberated because they know the goal is the journey. This is the final firewall. They are not afraid of running out of money. They are not afraid of having money. They are afraid of not being able to play the game. They are afraid of boredom. They are afraid of intellectual death. And that is the final disconnect. They fear becoming dull. You fear the difficulty. And so you remain where you are. You are programmed to fear scarcity. They have built systems to exploit it. You are programmed to fear the crowd. They have built systems to fade it. You are programmed to fear missing out. They have built systems to filter it. You are programmed to fear irrelevance. They have built systems to ignore it. You are programmed to fear the game. They have simply and profoundly fallen in love with it. This is the architecture. This is the operating system. You cannot copy this system by buying a book. You cannot hack it. You must build it. You build it brick by painful brick, by confronting your own psychology. The work starts by identifying your own prisons. What is the one fear, the one piece of mental stupidity that you know is holding you back? Be honest. Leave your confession in the comments below. The first step in controlling a fear is admitting it exists. If this analysis provided you with a new, uncomfortable, but necessary lens, share it. There are too many people drowning in comfortable lies. A dose of realism is the only antidote. Show your support with a like. The journey of deprogramming is not a single event. It is a process. Continue that process by watching the video that appears on your screen now.